What if life was not meant to be easy? What if the path you are called to walk is not the smooth paved highway everyone else seems to choose, but a narrow road of discipline, truth, and growth? This is where M. Scott Peck begins in his timeless book, The Road Less Traveled. It is not a book about quick fixes or comforting illusions. It is about what it truly means to grow up, to love, and to live a life that matters. Peck opens with a sentence that strikes like thunder. Life is difficult. At first it sounds harsh, even cruel, but he insists that once you accept this truth, you stop fighting against it. Struggle stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. Discipline, which once felt like a burden, becomes the path to freedom. Because discipline is not about punishment, it is about order. It is about choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. Without it, our lives collapse into chaos. With it, we learn patience, honesty, and the ability to solve life's problems instead of running from them. He describes 4 tools of discipline: delaying gratification, accepting responsibility, dedication to truth, and balancing. Think about it. How many times have you wanted the reward before the work, the pleasure before the pain? The mature person flips this order. They study before they play. They save before they spend. They work on the hard things first. This simple act of delaying gratification builds strength. And then there is responsibility. Peck says we are the authors of our lives, whether we admit it or not. Every choice has a weight. Every decision, whether avoided or embraced, shapes us. To dodge responsibility is to shrink. To embrace it is to grow. Truth is the third tool, and Peck calls it a form of love. Not the soft love of comfort, but the fierce love of reality. To seek truth is to refuse self-deception. It is to shine a light on the stories we tell ourselves to avoid pain. Most people cling to illusions. They hide behind excuses. They say it's not my fault or it's not that bad. But every lie builds a wall between us and growth. Only when we face reality, brutal and beautiful as it is, do we become whole. And balancing, the fourth tool, is about flexibility. Life is not about rigid rules, but about wisdom. Sometimes love requires gentleness, other times toughness. Sometimes sacrifice is noble, other times destructive. Balance means you do not cling to one extreme. You adapt. You adjust. You stay awake. But discipline alone is not enough. Peck then moves into the mystery of love. He says something radical. Falling in love is not real love. Falling in love is a trick of biology, a temporary madness. It feels like eternity, but it fades. When the chemical high ends, many people walk away thinking love has died. Peck argues that true love begins when the illusion ends. Real love is an act of will. It is the commitment to nurture the spiritual growth of another. It is choosing to serve their becoming, not just your desire. Love is not dependency, not using another person to fill your emptiness. Love is 2 whole people walking together, giving freely, and challenging each other to grow. That is why love is hard. That is why so few reach it. He dismantles the myths we carry, like the idea that love is effortless or that it should always feel good. Real love requires discipline. It demands listening when you want to speak, forgiving when you want to condemn, staying when you want to run. It asks for honesty, even when honesty hurts. And it asks for courage, because to truly love someone is to risk pain, rejection, and loss. Yet without this risk, life is shallow. To love deeply is to live fully. The book then enters its most mysterious and controversial terrain: grace. Peck, trained as a psychiatrist, could have stopped at psychology, but he doesn't. He insists that something greater operates in our lives. He calls it grace, the unconscious force that helps us grow in ways we cannot explain. It is the sudden insight that comes from nowhere, the healing that feels larger than us, the inner strength that appears just when we are weakest. Some call it God, others chance, but Peck sees it as undeniable. It is the force that guides us when we dare to walk the road less traveled. He shares stories of patients who grew not because of his therapy, but because of an unseen push, moments of surrender, moments where life itself seemed to carry them. This grace is not magic. It does not remove hardship. Instead, it makes hardship meaningful. It uses suffering as the raw material of transformation. Grace whispers, keep going, even when you do not know how. And if you listen, you discover that life itself is on your side. By this point in the journey, the book has stripped away illusions. It has shown you that life is not supposed to be easy, that discipline is your foundation, that love is a choice, and that grace is real. But what do you do with this knowledge? Peck's answer is simple yet profound. You grow up. Most people stay children in adult bodies. They seek comfort, approval, safety. They blame others. They avoid pain. But maturity is choosing the harder path. It is saying yes to growth when fear tempts you to hide. It is carrying the weight of responsibility when no one else will. It is loving even when love costs you. It is facing truth even when it shatters you. It is walking forward into the unknown with trust. The climax of the book is not a single revelation, but a slow unveiling, the realization that the road less traveled is not just about individual success, but about becoming the kind of human being who can bear the weight of existence. The person who no longer runs from life but embraces it. The person who turns pain into wisdom, struggle into strength, love into freedom. And this road is not crowded. Most will avoid it. They will choose distraction, comfort, denial. But those who take it find something rare: depth. They discover that life, though difficult, is also deeply meaningful. They discover that love, though demanding, is the only force that makes existence bearable. They discover that grace, though mysterious, is real and powerful. They discover that the discipline of growth is the only true freedom. So now the question turns to you. Are you willing to take this road? Are you willing to accept that life is difficult, not as a curse, but as a gift? Will you choose truth over illusion, responsibility over blame, love over fear? Will you open yourself to grace even when you cannot control it? Because this road is waiting. It always has been. It is not easy. It was never meant to be. But it leads somewhere worth going. If you're ready to walk the road less traveled, start today, not tomorrow. Today, delay a comfort. Take responsibility for one choice. Tell the truth where you've been hiding. Offer love without asking for anything in return. And pay attention, because grace might meet you in the very moment you take that step. This is your invitation. Life is difficult, growth is hard, love is demanding. But on the road less traveled, you will not only survive, you will become. And that is the greatest journey of all.